There. Hey, guys.
Got Dust Ash on the right side of me tonight.
I got it all cleaned up just for the old show.
We got a new guest joining in tonight, and we're going to give it a minute, let some people get on board here. Guys, as you click on, go ahead and hit the 25K Crappie Connection. It's going to be the new hashtag from here out until we can hit that 25,000 followers. It's very possible with everybody's help. So as you join in tonight, go ahead and hit the 25K Crappie Connection. And we've got a good show lined up tonight. Real excited about it. Holiday season's coming. Crappie fishing's great. And a lot of these lakes are on fire right now that we're going to even talk about tonight. I know I've had a really good week since last Tuesday night. And looking forward to hearing some more people's reports as well. I see Dalco, Tony Van Norman. I seen Tony Van Norman out fishing. He was fishing beside me out there on Eagle Lake Friday. So big really? Tony Van Norman in Vicksburg.
How'd you do Friday?
We did real good Friday. We caught them.
I guess we'll wait for your fishing report, huh?
Yeah, we'll wait. We'll let some more people get on here. Everybody, like I said, hit that 25K Crappie Connection, and we're going to get tonight's show going. Tony Skeen, Reggie Hillman, Tim, Billy Coleman. Y'all guys come on in here. Appreciate everybody joining in tonight.
On my computer, them deer look a lot nicer, though, Mr. Sullivan.
I see my new buddy Dustin Shields is at 125K Crappie Connection.
Hey, there you go. I like that.
Dude, hi, buddy.
Heck yeah.
One day, with everybody's help, we could actually get there, I believe. John Mayo, Kathy, Clayton. Got a lot of people joining in. I think about 50 right now. We hit 75, and I got a special guest, like always, on here tonight. I can't wait to hear about this guy here. He's been hot. Tony Van Norman. I just want to say thank you, Brad, for the strollers and the drive-by jigs. Yeah, Tony, he was fishing beside me, and I asked him what he was using, and actually did a boat to water bottle transfer on the lake Friday to kind of help him out and catch some more fish, and I believe it might have helped him. It's been good. Stephen, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'll be glad to. Look, first, guys, I want to say thank y'all so much for asking me to come on. I know probably a lot of people wonder what I'm doing on here. Believe me, I'm wondering what I'm doing on here.
Oh, whatever.
Anyway, I'm the guy that's on here every week, just like everybody else. I'm trying to learn something. I appreciate so much what y'all do and what Barbie Garland's Baits does putting on the show, because I really enjoy it. I enjoy what hear people have to say. I learn so much from these guys. It's really fun to be on here every week. But anyway, I'm Stephen Sullivan. I'm from Batesville, Mississippi. I've lived here pretty much all my life, and I'm a dentist here in Batesville. But of course, my side passion is crappie fishing. And anyway, I loved tournament crappie fish. I got into crappie fishing years ago. My granddad owned Eagle Lake. I know we're going to probably talk about Eagle Lake some tonight. But if you're down there, if you're looking at your navigation, you'll see Sullivan Cove, and that's named after my granddad. That's where he lived for many years, and I went down and fished a lot with him. He kind of got me into crappie fishing, and so like most of you guys, granddad taking me out. But anyway, I've crappie fished all my life and started tournament fishing thanks to one of my local buddies, Jeremy Aldridge. Kind of got me started in tournament fishing in 2016, the way you're supposed to do it. He said, "Hey man, come on out. I want to invite you to come out to a Magnolia crappie tournament here at Enid. You fish here all the time, you know the lake. Just come out and have fun with us." I went out and man, I was hooked. I loved it. So I've been tournament fishing ever since. I mean, that's what it's about. I love doing that now, trying to pass it forward and get guys to come out. But I love tournament fishing. I love going and seeing different lakes. It's so much fun breaking them down and trying to learn, going around the country, and most all the time leave with my tail tucked between my legs. But I just enjoy it so much. I've really enjoyed traveling the country with my partner Jamie Robinson. Fishes with me a lot. My wife travels with me a lot, and our little dog Casper. But anyway, it's just what we do now for our enjoyment and our getaway.
It's definitely a passion. You know, it gets in your blood, and you can't stop, and you want to do it more and more. And
no doubt.
But the best thing about it is kind of like, you know, today's bite and the Crappie Connection is it's all the different people that you get to meet and really get to know. And you know, through the years, my friendships have grown from, you know, just basically around my area to now I can really say I've got friends across this country. And I'm very thankful for the crappie industry of giving me this kind of opportunity to get on here and meet different people and, just help different guys out catch more fish regardless of where I'm at. And definitely thank you, everybody that joins in every week. We couldn't do it without, Bobby Garland Baits and even Dust Dash. I mean,
yeah. Hey, he was saying, tail tucked between your legs on tournaments. You ain't fished enough tournaments if you ain't went home with that tail tucked. Because I've been on that train one too many times as well. But I feel like if you ain't winning, you're learning. So
that's exactly right.
Every single tournament I've fished, I go home with something else. Absolutely. Every single time. It's one step at a time. I'll be like, oh, next time I got this. And it's just like, and then you think you got it figured out and you get it whooped again. And then you're like, oh, next time I got this. So exactly. I've learned something every single time as well.
Hey, I used to play golf, Dustin. I used to play tournament golf, grew up playing golf. They remind me so much. I don't play anymore, but that's one of the reasons I got into crappie fishing. I got back problems, and it doesn't lend itself to golf very well. But anyway, I had the same success rate in golf. I left my tail tuck. But my point is that every time I thought I got it figured out, and I've got it now. I've got the little thing that's me. When I went back, it was different. Same way fishing. And the other thing, though, and the most important thing is, it's just like golf. I've developed such a network of friends everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for instance, I haven't fished much this week because my Ranger boat, I'm getting it ready to sell. I'm actually picking up a new boat this week.
Uh-oh.
But I needed somebody after 4 years of tournament fishing and 50,000 miles. I was obviously a few nicks and scratches in the fiberglass, but I was trying to figure out who's the guy that I need. I want to get this thing like showroom ready, just like when I bought it. So I don't want to sell it to somebody with the scratches and nicks on it. And bam, just like that, I sent it out to a few fishing friends. They gave me a great reference. That's if y'all need somebody. It's AJ's Fiberglass Repair. He's in Jefferson, Arkansas, just south of Little Rock. Absolutely fantastic work. I'll put his card. I'll email his card to Brad if he wants to put it up on the Crappie Connection site. But fast work, absolutely. He's been doing it for 15 years. I'm telling you, the boat looks like it. The before and after pictures just like it came out of the showrooms. Just like that, though. It's just a great way to know people, and I know somebody everywhere for just about any need.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's funny you mentioned that with golf. I also put it. I golf a lot as well, and I put it a lot to golf as in. You'll golf all day for that one good shot. And it feels so dang good when you get that one good shot. So I'll get my butt whooped on 10 tournaments if I can do good in one.
I'll remember when I got home was the one good one I hit, not the 90 bad ones.
That is a fact.
Well, that's just like beside even, the tournament side of things. And you get people and they start getting the boat with you and they'll tell you stories about these fantastic days. And everybody remembers the great days. And that's what everybody goes the next day for, is to have another great day, of course.
Yeah.
And it makes you really cherish those days that you have them. Yeah. But also these hard days can actually teach you a lot too. And that's what I think people kind of, you overlook some of these learning days because, man, getting your tail whooped will make you want to learn and become better fishermen. Yeah. And believe me, I get my butt kicked well enough through the years that it's taught me a little bit of a thing or two. And it still teaches. And that's the fun thing about crappie fishing. It's a never stop learning process for me. I feel like from the podcast to just talking to guys at boat ramps, you'll learn something every day if you just listen.
Yeah, no doubt. The easy days is not when you're learning.
Yeah.
I mean, when it's easy, there's not really a whole lot to work on. The work starts when it's not easy, when you can't find them, when you're trying to figure out when they won't bite. You're changing baits, you're downsizing, you're upsizing, you're slowing down, you're speeding up. But whatever it is that you got to do to make them bite, that's when you're working and trying to figure it out.
Yep. Well, Stephen, I want to get back to that you said about your boat. After we get through tonight, go ahead in the comments and post his card up there. I'm sure there's some guys out there watching or listening to the show tonight that would definitely like to take advantage of that. Word of mouth is the best advertisement ever was. So if this guy, you're really satisfied with him, I'm sure our viewers would love to know a little bit about him if they got some work that they've done, and I'm sure he would appreciate it as well. So
absolutely. I was tickled to death. I mean, he got me pretty much right in, which may have been luck. I don't know, but He came highly recommended from Mr. Curtis Massey. A lot of guys probably know him, who's actually fixing to get my boat and finish it off. But he's been around a long time and does fantastic work detailing, carpeting, wet sand and polishing. But anyway, he's one of the guys who gave me a reference. I had several that actually did on AJ, Sal Jackson. But man, I've done the work. I'm not kidding.
That's
It's
awesome.
unbelievable. I had a spot where I got backed into my trailer at Barnett with something. When I got back one day, I had 2 holes punched in it. And I just, I put a patch on it just to keep moisture and stuff out of the fiberglass. But, oh, my goodness, where he fixed it. I mean, there's no way anybody could ever tell. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I think on subscribers, last time I checked on YouTube, let me give you a current update, guys. We're definitely at 10,243 subscribers on YouTube, which is fantastic. Thank you for everybody with that. And about 46,000 here on the Facebook. But if you guys haven't hit those buttons yet, make sure you hit the follow button on the Facebook and also subscribe on YouTube. Definitely helps us out. Like I said, without Bobby Garland Baits, these shows wouldn't be possible. So definitely help out our sponsors as well. And I got a couple things I'm going to show you later on, even about Christmas gifts. I know everybody's thinking about Christmas gifts and different things to buy different fishermen, and I got one for you guys, and I even got you a little code to go with it. But we'll go ahead, Dustin, kick off.
Yeah, for sure. I've actually seen a couple comments here looking for Grand Lake. I think Kathy Crawford was saying she's or he or she has burnt a lot of gas mid-lake and not much to show for it, and that is Grand Lake right now. Grand Lake can be super tough. You just have to look a little deeper. I'd imagine you may be looking a little too shallow. They can go anywhere from 50 to 60 foot deep right now, pretty easily. So try to look a little bit deeper, check some docks off of the main channel, and kind of just start swinging. Like I said, that water gets really clear, and then fish will push way down. So, but if you can find them, you'll catch them good. So try to check a little bit deeper. You get into a lot of shad too now this time of year. So running up feeder creeks, way up feeder creeks can be good. You just, man, you have to look hard, and it's about as tough as it can get on Grand this time of year. But tomorrow, I'm going out tomorrow, and hopefully I'll have a good fishing report. GFB Outdoors, my guide page, will have a fishing report for Grand tomorrow. I'm going to Grand Lake for a couple hours to look for some fish on a trip. But I've got 3 baits I'm going to use tomorrow, and I'm gonna try to find murkier water. But if I don't, I'm gonna probably start with my fried shad, and I'm going with a shad style bait. Due to that's everything I see on my sonar right now is just going to be gobs of shad. I've got bait fish everywhere I look, so I'm going to try to mimic that as much as possible. And they can be, it's almost like day to day. You'll have a real cold day and then a warm day, real cold day and then 60-degree day. So I'm going to start out with a good, healthy size bait. And then if things start getting tough, I'm seeing these fish kind of move and not react as good as I want, I'm going to go with an itty bit. I'm going to go downsize big time with a white and chartreuse and go with that. I'll start with those 2 and then see where I'm at from there. So that's the game plan tomorrow. And I've heard a few mixed reviews on Grand. I'm going to go find out for myself, though, truthfully, tomorrow.
That sounds good.
The
Stephen,
wind
you got any kind of today's bite fishing reports up in your neck of the woods?
I do. I've got a lot better one than I could probably normally give because, like I told you, since I don't have a boat, I wasn't fishing. But I did talk to my buddy Patrick Stone today. He's probably most of you know he's one of the best guides in our area. There's a lot of great guides, and he's certainly right at the top. But he was on Eagle yesterday, and he said it was stupid. He said it didn't matter what you threw, where you were. He said it was fish all over the lake. I think he said he caught 103.5 hours, which is crazy. Whoa. And then today he was on Enid, and he said the water temperature was 48 degrees. And he said he was fishing near ledges, kind of in 7 to 14 foot of water. And he said the fish were either on the bottom, but not in the mud, but right at near the bottom or up about 2 feet off the bottom, suspended. And he said that he was using monkey milk, and he was using a solid chartreuse. I think he said 2.5 inch plastics. And he said that it was really good. He said that his client's limited. I saw a picture on Facebook. It was very impressive, really nice fish. I had fished at Enid myself other than at Eagle before I sent my boat off to be repaired, and I had the same luck, pretty much the same report. The water was a little warmer when I fished, but the fish really reacted good. Most of them wouldn't chase if I cast. I did cast a little bit and try it, and I got a few to chase, but the water's cooling down. They're getting a little bit lethargic.
Yeah.
You have to kind of hold the jig right above them, right in their face. And and I try to keep it above them and see if they'll come to it. And as they want, I'll get it closer and hold it closer to their nose. But just like you said, Dustin, this time of year, the shad I'm seeing here on our lakes, they're big shad, and I'm starting. That's what I love about this December fishing and winter fishing is the shad are big. I don't guide very much, but I help a lot of local guys and kids and take them fishing live scoping. And that's what I love about this time of the year. It's really a great time to learn to use live scope or fish. It's you catch so many nice days here in Mississippi in wintertime. It's not like Kansas is. It's not usually very cold.
Exactly.
And the fish are slow. They're not running and crazy like they are when we're tournament fishing. A lot of times they'll sit there. And you can use the bigger baits, which you can see really well on your screen. And it's just a really fun time to fish to me. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think of December too. And, my top 3 setups for December, I had to include long line trolling. And I've been at Eagle Lake for last week fishing mainly. Now I fished Barnett today, and I was regretting not being at Eagle Lake because it was a lot tougher on the Ross Barnett than it was at Eagle Lake. Pulling 2 1/8s, and I had a couple people ask me about baits while we're out on the water. It's just a great size for that lake that I'm always going to, especially in the month of December, hit that 12-foot mark. It might be 3 or 4 feet above these fish, but they're going to come up and actually attack these baits. And I've got 3 colors that's been really good over there. This is the Bobby Garland stroller, and that's a blue chrome is actually the color of it. And see, it's a blue body with a silver glitter tail. These bright days we've had this past week's just been phenomenal. I just can't say how good that lake's just been, and I hope the future of it just remains true and we don't have any more floods or anything that affects that lake, because it's going to be a gem for the state of Mississippi here shortly as those fish get even bigger.
Hey, one of them lakes had to pick up the slack for Arca Butler.
Sure will.
Yeah. Well, and also Washington. I mean, that lake right there is an hour south of Lake Washington. So it's a really good lake, and, it's no secret. Everybody around here knows it. I seen guys last week. I noticed a tag that said New York, and I was like,
holy smokes.
And
That's
actually,
crazy.
the guys that I took fishing Friday, they got in a boat, and they was like, yeah, we talked to those guys with that plates from New York. They're actually from Georgia. They had come down to Eagle Lake and fished the last couple of days. I guess they, I don't know, picked up a truck or something or another. But, these guys are coming over there, and they had a blast, I'm sure, over that lake, because it's just the fish are full,
we got some,
gorgeous, and hungry. Mainly areas that I'm targeting over there is really 18 foot of water and deeper. I'm looking for those deep pockets of fish. I kind of noticed Friday, and actually even yesterday as well, I could see areas that the shad were really diving in. I mean, the birds diving for shad. And I kind of stayed on the outside areas of those birds, and that seemed to be really where the keeper crappie were. I don't know if they were just kind of maybe pushing those area shad up higher for those birds to feed on. I don't know. But I really tried to target that area, the outside area of those birds diving down, and we had just phenomenal days on the water over there. It's a good feeling when you can take people and they're like, man, this is one of the best fishing days I've had in my life. And being a guide, that's how you want everybody to leave, at the end of the day. And you can't control those, of course, but you can just put them where you think the best bite is and the best tactic to do it. But Barnett's actually a little bit different creature right now. And Stephen and I were talking about this earlier. I don't know the difference. I wish I did. If I had the guidance and knowledge to figure out what makes one lake turn on and the other one not turn on as well, is just beyond my thought process. I mean, Eagle Lake and Ross Barnett, they're roughly, I'm gonna say, an hour and 15 minutes apart. So it's not like a big difference in geographic. One's bigger than the other, but both of them have a lot of white crappie. And that's mainly what I've been targeting on both lakes. But Eagle Lake, you know, we're long lining and catching them. I even tried long line today on Barnett and didn't get a sniff, just to say I did it. And the only way I could really even catch fish today on Barnett for me was if I held a jig above them, I could tap it, shake it, roll it, whatever, and they would just completely ignore it and eventually swim off. But if I took a bait and actually let it dive down in front of them, and I mean completely dive, they would actually notice it diving down, and then I'd pick it up and it'd come up and eat it. But we think about a fish, you know, always eating up, and these crappie today actually showed me a little number. They wouldn't eat it looking up. They wanted to eat it going down, which is, you know, it kind of breaks the rules. And this live sonar has taught me for sure so much as far as these crappie will break all the rules in the book. You think of colors, you know, dark days, dark colors, and that's kind of a general rule that I start at. Just like this blue chrome, you know, you think, well, you just need to really use that darker color or the this meteor shower color, darker colors on darker days. And these fish should throw that whole scenario out of the window and eat what they want and how they want to eat it. And like I said, Barnett, I see a lot of fish on bottom. I'm not seeing a whole lot of fish suspended. I don't know why they're hanging so close to the bottom. And I'm talking 22, which for Barnett fishermen, when I say 22 foot of water, that's deep. I mean, we don't have a lot of 40, 60 foot crappie down on Ross Barnett. And, but they're hanging on the bottom. I don't know if they're just so full of shad, they ain't got to work for much, but it's been a little bit more tricky compared to Eagle Lake. And man, I wish I had the secret to know why.
Yeah. I did the same thing you found on Eagle Lake, especially on the big fish. When we got out where we saw the birds diving and we saw just, I mean, it's incredible, the shad,
Yeah.
swarms, big schools of shad. You know, we got to moving out away from them. We actually just kept going and got to an area where all of a sudden, which was unusual, we didn't see any crappie suspended because there was a lot of crappie suspended. It wasn't unusual to have 15, 20 crappie on the screen at one time.
Smokes.
But we, and that's not zoomed out. I'm talking about that's at 20, 30 feet.
Oh,
But we moved over and got into a little bit shallower water, like 12 to 14 feet, and really weren't seeing many crappie. But then we got to looking a little closer and found a few big ones on the bottom, and just those fish bit really well too. But I'm like you, I don't understand that. I'm going to try that though. That's the reason I watch these shows too. I'm going to try that dropping when I can't get them to bite. I can tell you that.
oh yeah, for sure.
It's one of those things that it didn't work on every fish, but I would say honestly today, I think I caught more fish doing that than any other presentation.
Yeah.
You know, tomorrow might be totally different. That's the beauty about this whole sport of crappie fishing is nothing's textbook. And that's what I've kind of learned through the years is nothing's textbook. And that's what, you know, you can go out there at Eagle Lake for sure. You could cast to them. You could long line for them. You could slip bob for them. I mean, you could spider rig for them. Of course, live scope for them. You can catch them any way you want over there right now, which is awesome for people to go over there. And I think there's probably some other lakes that's just as hot. Like Stephen mentioned about Enid. I've seen quite a few photos. I think Bobby Mann, I think he's on here tonight too. I've seen some good pictures that he even had up there. I'm kind of curious about Okeechobee over Meridian. That lake's kind of been on my radar for the last week. I just can't imagine that lake not being good this time of year.
We fished the Magnolia tournament there the last 2 years in December, the first week. This year they switched to Eagle, which I'm happy they did. But the fishing at Okeechobee in December has been phenomenal the last 2 years. And I think I came in, I lucked up. That's one of the few that I did well. I'm not mentioning it because of that, but I think I came in second and third, and I know I won the big fish last year. And I fished them both by myself because Jamie has a big meeting in New Orleans normally. But I'm talking about we caught, when I first started going to Okeechobee, if you had 8 pounds, 8.5 pounds on 7 fish, you probably win the tournament. I had some 13-pound sacks. I think my big fish was a 264 one year and a 244. I mean, it has really come a long way. There's some great fish in that lake. And December is a great time to fish it.
I just can't imagine that lake. And you talking about a lot of fish on the screen. I fished it last October with Hayden, and we went over there just play fishing one day, and we kind of made a game of it where you couldn't turn your live scope and not see a fish on the screen. There were so many crappie on the screen. It was just phenomenal with the amount of fish over there.
It is.
Even somebody asked if you used hair jigs or plastics on your latest tournament.
I use both. You know, I'm a big on both guy. I don't have one over the other. I'm gonna, you know, when it's easy, you're not changing baits much.
Exactly.
And if it's easy and I'm catching a lot of fish, I tend to use a hair jig just because it's easy. They'll bite it and I don't tear up and lose as many baits.
Yeah.
But tournament fishing, man, it's all bets off. I use every kind of bait. I use every company's baits. I am sponsored by a couple of companies. I love their baits, but I use Bobby Gar. I'll tell you right now, I'll give out one secret. I'm not the best out there by any means, but no matter whether it's sunny, cloudy, what, if I'm having a hard time in a tournament, I'm going to a Bobby Garland baby shad and a natural color and a shad color.
Absolutely.
There's a little Patrick Stone at Grenada Lake Tackle makes a little royal blue 132nd out head. I like with it. I like the Bobby Garland Moglo heads with it. They're in 132nd. They are 124th. I think I've got. They work great. But that's one of my go-tos for sure.
Awesome.
But I use both. I use both.
Did you have a particular color or hair combination over at Eagle that you thought was really?
I did. I've got. There's a new guy. He's been a friend of mine for a while, but he just got into the jig time business. His name is Cole Vickers, but it's Mississippi Jig Company.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been friends for a long time. And he's what I love about Cole. He's super meticulous in everything he does really well. Well, he ties really good hair jigs. He started tying some for me, and he tied one that it was a 1/16 head. It was a pink head. It had a number 6 mustad hook, kind of a small hook, but it had a black chenille and a chartreuse tail, classic black and chartreuse with a pink head. It worked great. You should have seen the jig when I got through with it. I fished with it Friday and Saturday pre-fishing. I don't know how many fish I caught Friday on it. With Jamie, I just had a blast. I mean, we just had fun. We rode the lake, looked for fish, and I just said, let's catch fish. And that was kind of our strategy going into the tournament. We didn't see many big fish.
Catch as many as you can.
And we just said, let's just have a good time. Let's go through them. A lot of them look the same, and we're going to have to weed through a lot to, they look the same, and one may be a 160 and one may be a 140, but they look the same on the screen. And so that was kind of our strategy until we stumbled up on some bigger fish in shallower water, and then we concentrated on that. But I did use a hair jig in that tournament. We were catching so many fish at one time. I mean, it's not telling how many plastics I would have gone through.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You got some today's bite fish reports, and we've got to go through them. Dustin looks like he's already keyed in on one right now.
I've read a few. I was going to thank everybody for giving all the fishing reports. Some of them they've already mainly passed. I read them as they're going by, but I like to learn just as much, like you said. I mean, I'm no expert either, and I love to learn all these different lakes. And everybody, it seems like I see a new lake every time I read these comments. But I love to see what the fish are doing and learning a little bit. Depth range, everything that saves you so much time. If you want to go visit a lake, you're like, well, so and so was catching them in 15 to 20 foot water and doing this and that. It just saves you so much time. And I appreciate all the fishing reports. That's pretty cool.
I got a question right here, which these questions are just as important, guys. So if you got a question when it comes to crappie fishing, make sure you throw it out there. And even at the end of the show, I'm going to do something special even before these questions. But I got Jacob. He's asking, upgraded from a 9-inch to a 12-inch SV unit. Anyone notice changing vertically in the water column as you try to lock in on them? As I pan right and left on the fish, it seems to move to 1 to 2 foot into. I got it. What he's saying. Jacob, I would say, what transducer are you using there? And also, are you using a 0 offset? That sounds like that offset is actually changing their position in the water column. So if you're looking at it at the right and that offset's tilted to the right, that fish is going to show a little higher in the water column. Now, if you get a 0 offset and level it up, you shouldn't notice that changing the difference on your screen itself. That's how I would answer that question.
I can't say when I had the offset though that I ever even noticed them moving at all up and down, but it makes sense. I could see why it would.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that myself even. And I think a zero offset would actually fix that. You'll just have to kind of pay attention if it's on the right and that's how that offset's looking. It might be just a smidget higher on your screen because of the offset, how it's running, that 8 degree or what have you.
The 0 degree offset's one of the best tips that I think you can get. If you got a 34 and you're having trouble finding one, Dominator makes a good one. There's a lot of good ones out there, but that 0 degree offset, you just don't realize until you put it on, especially if you cast, how much difference it makes. That's a great tip.
Oh, yeah. He said he's got the 32 and he's running a 15 degree offset right now.
Yep.
Yeah, that's for sure your problem. 100%.
Yep, that's exactly what I would think it would have been too. Yeah. Change over to your 0 offset, and there's a lot of good manufacturers out there making 0 offsets right now. But change to 0 offset, and I think they would actually stay in that position on your screen instead of moving up and down as you pan left and right.
Yeah, because that's a pretty dang good offset there. 15 degrees, a good one.
I see Mitch. He said he picked up the new Crappie Connection hoodies. It's awesome. It must be for the colder weather. Yeah, that's exactly right. That hoodie is super warm. I know we're sold out. Actually, Daniel White, Crappie Forever, texted me this afternoon. I think he said he has some smalls and mediums left, but that's it for the time being. Dang. They blew out the door, I'm telling you. And I kind of feel bad. I love it. I've been wearing the snot out of it. I'm going to probably be needing new before January myself because I'm just about wearing the thing every day. Except for the
How about this, Brad? How much for the one you got now that's been worn?
Nobody wants this one right now. I can tell you, it smells like fish. It's actually in the washer machine, so nobody wants this one.
That one's already tried and true. It's already been used and broke in.
It broke in, yeah. It's probably got permanent fish slime. Because, like I said, I've been an Eagle Lake guy over there.
Hey, we know that ain't fish slime on there. That's fish poop.
And it may be both.
Yeah.
Fish blood, my blood. Even you can see my hands are even cut up from.
I'll come home in the summer sometimes, and when you're boat flipping a lot of summer fish, for some reason, I can get them things to crap all down my pants, and I smell like a walking fish factory sometimes. No doubt.
Evan Berry, he's given a fish report for the Ross Barnett. The stuff. Let's try to read the top part of it. My button here always gets in the way. Today's bite was tough. Big ones were on the bottom. Caught small ones on top of brush. The red is producing some big winter fish. 16 to 24 foot deep, 32nd using a 16-foot black diamond. That's pretty much the same setup and same thing I'm kind of seeing out there as well. I think if we could get some serious rain, and I'm talking not like 3/4 of an inch, half an inch, I think we need some like 2 to 3 inches of rain, and that lake would actually ignite. So we typically don't pray for a lot of rain. Right now, I'm praying for some rain to put some current in Ross Barnett to turn that lake really on.
Get that current out of here. Dustin Shields said, "Can we get a Crappie Connection hoodie with the Dustache outline on it?" That's what I'm talking about.
I love it.
Hey, I've had enough comments on this poor mustache. I'm going to have to keep this thing a lot longer than I was planning this year.
It's becoming very infamous. I mean,
absolutely.
You're going to have to even get a tattoo even on your bicep.
Y'all get used to it. Old Dustache is going to be hanging around. Unless the wife shaves it while I'm sleeping. That might be something.
Yeah, that's right. Greg, I'm trying. I see a lot of these Dustache. It is getting cool. We'll do a hashtag Dustache.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I like the hashtag Dustache.
That's funny.
Brittany Longmire. That's some of my friends over in Alabama. Open Water Mike's asking. He said he's new to the channel. Where we're from, so I guess he kind of missed the first part. Stephen from Batesville, Mississippi, which is in the north part. He fishes a lot of the core lakes, Grenada, Enid, Sardis, and he fishes all the major crappie trails as well. He's our special guest this week. Got Dustin McDaniel there. He's from Grand Lake, Oklahoma. Yeah. He's a full-time guide over there for crappie fishing. And I'm Brad Chappell. I'm from Central Mississippi. I fish mainly Ross Barnett and Eagle Lake. And I've been around crappie fishing since I think I started breathing good. I absolutely love the sport, and so definitely welcome to our channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button there, Open Water Mike. Mike Parks. Let me make sure I get anything, hit some questions up there. And I can tell you, Stephen right there, he's a wealth of knowledge. I've been watching Stephen fishing for a couple of years now, and we actually fished probably a couple of tournaments against each other back in the day. And he's just a genuine.
Beat me up bad too.
Yeah, whatever. I took enough beatings as well on the other side of the stick too.
Yeah.
But we can answer some questions. So if you got them, throw them out there. We'd be glad to help you guys out tonight.
For sure.
Let's see. I got Kim Marty.
Yeah.
Hey, 48 degrees at the Ross Barnett today. Fishing is really slow, but determined to find them. Hey, we need some current, Ken. Keep praying for current.
Get it out of here. Now, Stephen, if you had one lake in any time of year, what lake you going to go to, and what time of year would it be if you had one good trip you wanted to get somebody on?
Well, if it was here local and time of the year, I mean, I don't see how you could go against Grenada the first week in March. I mean, it's just. I would have put Arcabutla up there almost any month.
Yeah.
When we had water in it. Truly, it was great. But Grenada the first 10 days of March, first 2 weeks of March, I mean, you're gonna catch fish that are they're almost prehistoric looking to me. My biggest one there was a 368 female on my scales. And when I caught her, I was pre-fishing for a tournament, and I was around one giant cypress stump, and there was 8 of them there. And I had to catch one just to sample them. And she was a giant. And I immediately let her go. I took one quick picture and let her go, tried to handle her easy, but that would be there. If I was going to go off, I would say Jamie and I went down and fished the St. Johns River in January a couple of years ago. And let me tell you,
that's
that if you want to go catch some of the most beautiful crappie, it's so much fun in January. They're giant, beautiful black crappie. We were catching 250s, 260s, full of eggs. It was just, I've got the pictures to show you. It was crazy. We were fishing in a crappie masters tournament. We were 4th after the first day, and we thought we lost a couple of fish. We thought, man, we could win this thing. And the locals just kicked our tail as usual. I left with my tail tucked between my legs. The second day, the fish moved in the spawn, and there was hydrilla everywhere. Anyway, long story short, we couldn't find them. The locals knew where they were going, and they were waiting on them, and they got them.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anyway, that's definitely, if you had never done that.
Fish? A good number of fish?
Oh yes, great, great fishery. And you see, you're in when you think about Florida, at least me, I was thinking about, you think about the coastline and everything in Florida, and man, when you get on the St. Johns River, it is remote. I mean, it is remote. You see bears, alligators, there's turkeys everywhere gobbling in January. Giant crappie. I mean, manatee. You're seeing manatee everywhere. I tell you, that's a really fun place to go.
That's on my bucket list. Yeah, yes, that's crazy.
And January is the
long
time.
lining and pulling. I hear long lining and pulling's really good on St.
It is. We actually did long line. I grew up long lining, and that's one of my favorite things to do. We actually, one afternoon, we had found our fish, and we're trying to stay away from there. We actually took our wives out. They traveled down with us, and we actually took them out long line one afternoon. And so, it's long line is really effective there. It's good.
Man, that is the last place I'd have guessed you picking number one lake for time of year, but that's a good one. There's nothing better than a good, dark, straight line black crappie. When they got black crappie,
they gotta be mean.
There is nothing better than a
good
black
mean.
Crappie. Yep,
they are mean. Yeah, it's like setting the hook on a largemouth.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen pictures of them St. Johns River blackfish, and they are different. They're way different, for sure.
They're kind of a gold color almost. They're kind of
like
pictures. I haven't filled one yet. I actually left a couple of years ago. We were going to go fish crappie masters down in on the St. John's, and I don't know if you ever experienced this, but we were heading out of town, looked at my trail lights, and they weren't working, so we fixed those, and we get right outside of Jackson, about 10, 15 minutes from my house. We had a blowout, and then I've got something else happening, and we're like, I don't know what is going on, but it's like we're having everything in the world go wrong. So we backtracked. We chickened out because we were like, this truck's going to blow up, something's going to blow up. So we just turned it back around because I just knew, the train was coming off the tracks and it was showing early signs of it. So we abandoned ship and come on back home before we went down there. But I always wanted to really go down that south and fish that St. John's River for those big black crappie. Oof.
Yeah, I would definitely do it. DeLand, Florida is where we centered out of. That's where you want to go. And, you know, we didn't have a hard time finding them when we first got there. And when they moved into spawn, you need a little local help there.
Yeah.
That's when you might want to go find you a guide down there. You might want to call Scott Williams or somebody. I don't know, but
go to dipping those lily pads, huh?
Yeah.
Dylan Smith.
We actually did that some pre-fishing. We watched videos on YouTube. And we actually did that some pre-fishing, and we had no trouble catching fish, but we just couldn't find the big ones. But we actually did do the deal where you pull up, rake the Odula back, make a hole, and fish in it, and it was effective. And we live scoped them under there. We actually did that. We put on a weedless hair jig, dropped it down in there, and we caught them. It was fun. That's a fun place.
That has to be a blast for sure.
I got a question.
I've never done that before.
Dylan Smith, he's asking, what's your favorite Bobby Garland style plastics?
Ooh.
I think I know Dust Ash.
Yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite, but that live roamer they have come out with, that new live roamer, I'll show you real quick. Color and bait, maybe the pecan cream, but that is just because crappie's 90% diet is a shad right there, and I mean it looks identical to one, so that's hard. I mean, I can't even hold it still, just sitting it there. It's crazy. But that is a bad boy right there. That's probably my favorite Bobby Garland.
Mine. I'm going to go with baby shad because I just have a lot of luck with them. They'll just about always eat small. It's more fun to me to fish with the bigger baits, but they'll just about always eat small, and that's definitely one of my go-to baits when I've got to get them to bite. So I'd say the baby shad.
I agree with that.
You know, I'd say the last 2 to 3 years, I kind of went small too, and the itty bit slab hunters for me, you know, these style here baits. I don't know if you guys can see them very well, but that 1.25 inch, that's probably my favorite bait to use year round right now. Summertime, wintertime, fall, it don't matter. Crappie's going to eat that little small bait. If they're going to eat anything in my mind. Long line is going to be the stroller, so it just kind of depends on the technique, but all around bait style right now would be the itty bit slab hunters for me.
Yeah. Les Stansteifer said that he's fishing, is it Talquin and St. John in January. He said very, very fun fisheries. So he knows what it's all about. He's been up there before. He agrees with the St. John's.
I'll see you at Talquin. I'm not going to make St. John's this year, but I'll see you at Talquin. I like the strollers too. When I pull jigs, one of my go-tos was the stroller as well. I absolutely love that jig.
Brad wears them 4 strollers.
Bluegrass is one of my favorite colors.
Bluegrass is one of my favorites as well.
I got Tim. Mr. Curley, he went fishing with me last week. I see him commenting. Come on in here, Mr. Curley. We had a great trip. We long line together. He called and wanted to do a trip on, really learning how to long line. And, man, I think by the end of the day, he got a really good dose of it. Might have even a little bit of tennis elbow from setting the hooks, but had a great time with you, Curly, as well. Appreciate you fishing with me.
Dustin Shields says he'll be at Talquin too. He also said, I think he got power brakes on. He's going to try them tomorrow for the first time, and he's pumped with it. You will never go back, buddy. That is a game changer for sure.
That's actually, I'm putting on my boat tomorrow. Michael Sylvester of Mad Scientist Batteries, great buddies. We're going to actually install mine. I've got mine in last week, but I've been just fishing too much and tied up with everything else.
Yep.
But tomorrow I'm actually going to install them on my boat. And I might even live stream on TikTok. I don't know if anybody will watch us trying to install them on the backside of this Ranger of mine.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I was thinking that all today. These stubborn fish, I can back up on them and fish them a little bit longer.
You're going to wonder how you ever fished without them.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I took a buddy out trying to help him get his live scope tuned in on his boat a couple of weeks ago, and he didn't have crappie brakes. And I'm so reliant on them now. I mean, I had a hard time fishing without them.
Oh, yeah.
I had to really slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Let's go on down. I appreciate everybody coming in. I've got about 215 people rolling on it.
Another good wintertime lake. Somebody's headed to the Bruce Russell's headed to Lake of the Pines Thursday. That you can really have a heck of a fishing trip there as well. Big Sasquatch just gave a fishing report. Let's see what he's got going
right.
on, Louisiana. I think he's been destroying the poor fish. Louisiana fishing report. Darbone is on fire in the channels. Bistineau is good around deep water stumps. And Claiborne is good open water cruising fish. Fish are biting well everywhere. Man, it seems like he's in the right spot at the right time, ain't it?
He was still there too
Darbone,
last
good to
week.
hear Darbone's still popping. That's a good deal.
I got a question for you guys. It says, how can you identify female to male fish other than color? Filleted a few this evening, and no doubt when I filleted them, they were, hold on, let me try to reread that. He's asking if there's a way to tell between the female crappie and a black, excuse me, let me start over. Tell the difference between a male and a female by just looking at them besides the color. There we go. I don't know.
But other than cleaning them, I know that Patrick Stone, I believe, is one that taught me this for a minute. But I'm you may correct me, Stephen, if I'm wrong, but there's a speck around the butt of is it a male fish?
Male.
A black speck will be around there. I remember Patrick showing me that one time. He said every male will have about a black speck right by its butthole, and it's almost like just a tinted circle of black. And the females didn't have it. I got to looking at Grenada. I've never looked anywhere else, but the Grenada fish was doing that. And I'm like, I'll be dang. Because at Grenada, you pull those fish out, and they're still kind of white from that super muddy water. And he would say, oh, it's from looking at that. So that's one way. But other than cleaning them, I'm not sure.
That's the only way I know. My father-in-law showed me that years ago. He was an avid crappie fisherman, a spring guy, and he showed me that as well. But that's the only way. The only time I've been told the same thing.
I didn't. Yeah. This is the first time I've ever heard that.
Really?
I'm sorry.
It was last spring when I was fishing that tournament, and I heard Patrick Stone saying that was a 340 male, and I'm like, how'd you know it was a male if you threw it back? And it was super. In the picture, it was pretty white, like I said, because of the muddy water. And he had a picture of the butthole where the black dot was, and I said, I'll be dang. And then I started looking, and sure enough, the male fish were having that dot. So. Because the female, of course, you can tell they have the huge belly sack with eggs, and then I'd look, there was no dot. And then the ones that I figured was a male, I'd look, and there was a dot.
Trying to make sure I get any questions down here. I don't want to miss anybody.
Patrick was telling me today when he gave his fishing report, he doesn't normally have any openings. He's so good. But he actually said, guys, if somebody's and guides like these folks, that's the way to go learn somewhere. But he said he's got openings from here to some openings from here to the end of the year and some in January. So y'all guys look him up on Facebook. I was surprised to hear that. I just asked him out of the blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. This time of year guidance I think everybody gets kind of busy, and honestly, I don't like planning trips too far out during this time of year because you can have these big fronts move in. So if I'm a guide, I like, being the call me up quick. Hey, looks like some pretty days, Thursday and Friday. Let's go. So that's kind of how I schedule it. Really, my December and January, even the first part of February. Then after that, I got to set them down in books. Otherwise, it's just don't happen.
Got it. Yeah.
Marty Perry said, you're going to have me looking up a crappie's butt?
That's what Dustin Shields just said.
I'm with you, man. That's a new one for me.
Next week, everybody at the lake's going to be
for
doing
sure.
this.
You're going to be like, what? I'm going to look this week, I can tell you.
Dustin said, I guess I'll be checking out crappie's buttholes tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's funny. Yeah. I guess what's funny is I was out there, though, doing the same thing. I'll be dang. Then I caught myself looking at every one of them. Oh, man, that's funny.
We've got a question from T Lane on YouTube. He's asking, what water temp will fish start suspending and scattering out for long line fishing? I think that's really goes to a lake-to-lake deal. There's plenty of fish. You look at these core lakes and some of these oxbows as well that, they suspend and scatter all year long. Sardis, enid, seems like those fish are always up in a water column for the most part. I mean, there's days that they're on the bottom and such, but long line trolling for me, I like pulling jigs all the way until it gets really in the low 40s, and then you can just about cancel it out just because the baits are just moving a little bit too fast for them. But water temperature above 45, you should be able to catch them.
Yeah, it's really easy to me too when it gets up in the 60s. I mean, obviously the fish, they're starting to spawn. They just get aggressive and they seem to hit flash spinners, and you can speed up a little bit. It just seems to be easier to me then. But like you said, right now, watching those guys at Eagle Lake pulling, they were putting on a show while we were pre-fishing and tournament fishing. They were coming by us pulling jigs, and they would have them on 2 and 3 at a time.
Man, that is crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah,
So
Larry
what is
asked a
it like
question.
when we were fishing, Stephen, when we were fishing Truman this year? Is that a lot like how Eagle Lake's set up, where they're just loaded up in the channel, or?
They're really loaded up in the channel for sure. I mean, really, that's what Patrick asked me before he went. He was asking me, could you cast them? And I said, well, guys, we're pulling jigs and catching them multiples, but
Yeah,
sure, I would think so. But they're really fish from almost from one end of the lake to the other out in the middle of the channel.
okay.
I mean, there's always certain areas kind of towards the middle of the lake. There's more fish, but I did what Brad said too. There were so many shad. I mean, you can hardly see through them. You can hardly keep up with the crappie. There's so many shad. So
Yeah,
I just tried to stay out towards the edge of the channel and get away from the shad. And most of the time that I did that in 15 to 22 feet of water, like I said, you didn't even have to zoom out. There was 15 or 20 keeper crappie on the screen, and they would bite.
Pat Robbins said, stupid question, but do you have any luck catching black crappie longline? And first of all, Pat Robbins, no such thing as a stupid question. But Brad can answer this one, I'm sure.
You know, I've caught plenty of them through the years, and we're talking about St. John's River. That's
true.
Florida's nothing but black crappie, and it's known for long line trolling. You know, kind of seems to me on these lakes, I have to pull over structure more to catch them, but probably you go to Shotard and some of these deep oxbows, these river lakes, I have caught plenty of black crappie suspended out, even on Barnett. So yeah, it definitely will catch black crappie as well.
Sweet.
I got Larry's asking a question. He says he has a 34 LVS live scope transducer, and he's wanting to add another one for the trolling motor to open water fish. Do you recommend a 32 or a 34 on the trolling motor?
Ooh, that's pretty good. I have a hard time getting rid of the 32, but they both work great. I've used them both, and I can say if you're new to it, then a 32 would be what I would suggest, because it seems like you have a little bit more give, a little bit more play. The 34 is a lot sharper cone, so you really got to be on them to catch them. But that's everybody's opinion, really, whatever they're more comfortable with.
Yeah, I switched to the 34, and I haven't gone back. I've still got my 32s. In fact, I bought a couple of extra ones. But I like the 34. I know Hayden and Kyler and some other guys that I'm friends with say that they have a hard time maybe judging fish size with it, but I like the 34. You definitely need it on a 0 degree mount, but I like it for the clarity, and I also like it. I think your fishing style depends a lot to me on what I would have. And what I mean by that is if I cast it a lot, and particularly cast it further out, I really like the 34. Now, like Dustin said, you don't have the width of cone, and you've got to practice and get a little bit more accurate. But the screen is so clear, and it picks up the baits so well that I really like it for that. And so I use the 34 most of the time. Yeah.
Clearer image is a fact. You can see, it can also pick up a crappie a lot further away with a 34, in my opinion. You can scroll that thing 70, 80 foot out there, and I can tell you if it's a crappie at 80 foot and dang near what size it is. And it's kind of crazy. You can't really do that with a 32.
You know, the thing with a 32, you kind of touched on it. I like running the 34 whenever I'm looking for new pieces of structure, and I can actually spot it out to 120 to 140 out and go 2 or 3 miles an hour, and you can spot that piece of structure. And the time you get there, before power breaks for me, you know, that gave me enough time to actually slow down and get on that piece of structure. By zooming that far out and being able to spot it before it got too close to me. So the 34 for me, whenever I'm looking for structure fish, I like the 34 over the 32. So it's all about personal preference and kind of what you get used to. Both of them are great. I got both of them right now still on my trolling motor shaft, and I kind of switch up depending on what style I'm going to do for the day.
I'm going to go back to the 32 when I'm in real shallow water and in muddy water. I think the 32 is far better. When I say shallow water, 10 feet or less, I'm going to go back to the 32. I think I'm going to do like Brad. I think I'm going to get them back both on my shaft and get 2 different black boxes set up where I can just plug and play whichever one I want to use, because I like them both. They both, have advantages and disadvantages.
They have their places for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of switch up depending on what I'm going to do. Both of them have their place, and I think it's all about what you get used to as well. I mean, there's plenty of guys that can say, "Oh, I use the 34," and I mean, they're really good at it. So I mean, you can't deny that that's what they like. It's just getting somebody's boat and kind of say, "All right, what you're running," and even like you said earlier about the guides, ask these guides what they're running and what you're thinking about, and you'll get a lot of honest opinions out there. I can promise you that when it comes to crappie fishing. And that's one thing. You think of the bass fishing, they're kind of hush hush for the most part. Us crappie fishermen, we'll spill the beans for you, especially if there's no tournament on the line. Now, tournament on the line, you might get a little tricky, but
what spill the beans after?
Yeah.
They'll spill the beans afterwards.
I was fishing beside my buddy Daniel Porter one day, and he's a great crappie fisherman, and he had a 32 on and I had a 34 on. And we were just playing, kind of going side by side. I was casting, and he was long pole fishing. Anyway, long story short, he had it on this big fish, and he was like, "Why won't she bite?" We all do that. "Why won't she bite? Come on, bite."
Mm-hmm.
Well, I could see with my 34 that the fish was sitting here, and his bait was actually here.
Oh, yeah.
But from his angle, it looked like the bait was right on its head. But with my 34, because I guess it's got a smaller, a little bit more graphic cone, I could tell him, I'm like, pull the bait towards you about 1.5 feet, pick your rod up. And of course, then as soon as he did it, the fish bit. But I think from that standpoint, but we were in 16-foot water, and I think it helps a lot to be in deeper water. Like I said, I'm not against the 32, and I'm going to keep one on my shaft, I think, and definitely fish with it in certain situations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hayden Jeffries uses the 32, and that's all I need to know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Jamie Robertson, he says he has the best guide ever, Stephen.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Jamie, everybody already knows me, and you aren't very smart. You
Bo Donaldson said, "What's your opinion on the 32, 34 on a Garmin 1222 unit?" And that's what I have, is a 1222. I run a 32 on a 1222, and I love it. It works great. A 34 would work like we just went through, of course.
I had a 1222 before my 16. I got 8616 now.
Oh, really?
It was the same way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know. So you ran a 30.
Hamilton. Did you fish Lake Hamilton years ago?
I did not. I didn't fish Lake Hamilton.
Man, that's when, live scope was just really getting started then, real good. Tony Shepard won that tournament fishing brush piles, and those fish were buried up in brush. I remember that lake very vividly. He's got a fishing 35 foot of water, mostly fish suspended over brush piles, 20 foot of water. That lake had some great black crappie in it, and I'd like to fish that lake again. I wouldn't want to fish it when the boaters were out, but that lake that's a special lake right there as well, up in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
For sure.
Got another question. If you had to give one piece of advice, Stephen, for somebody starting out crappie fishing, what would it be?
I would hire a guide, no doubt. I would hire a guide, and I might hire a guide several times. I might hire 2 or 3 different guides, and you can text or get on Facebook, get on any one of us, and we'll help you or find somebody great to help you in whatever area you're in. But I would get a guide. I mean, you can it's like having the Cliff Notes to a book in high school. I mean, you can skip right to the highlights and learn so much in one trip. I mean, that would be the one thing I would do, is I would hire a guide.
That is good advice. That is pretty good advice. I would agree with that for sure.
That's but one of my favorite trips is to take somebody and they say, "Hey, I really don't care if we catch fish today. I just want to learn some things." And that's my favorite trips to take with people, is like, let's just get out there, let's fun fish. It takes the pressure off me of what we're going to do. And I can just go out there and fun fish and actually find fish for a new area and really explore myself as well. So I love fishing those kind of trips, being a guide. Like I said, it takes the pressure off of, hey, we got to try to get a limit. We got to get off the water. Then I just go in relax mode and fishing mode. And I love doing those kind of trips.
Right. And I think you need to think about and write them down, the questions to ask when you hire one. I mean, when you're going out, ask the guy, Why are we going where we're going?
Mhm.
You don't have to give up your secret spot to every client, as y'all know, but why are we going? Why'd you choose this spot? Can I see how your side scanning? What are you looking for on there?
Yep.
Then I would get them to show me different techniques. You can go with any one of these guys and they can teach you how to long line cast to them, long pole, slip court, whatever it
Yep.
is. I mean, they can
Splatter
do it all.
rig.
That's the structure fish, open water fish, chase them down. And that's the thing to do. There's so much knowledge there if you get somebody like one of you guys. That's just,
Sure. I agree with that.
that's the thing to do.
And another tip too is like just being consistent and not giving up. I feel like when I first got it and I first really started to try to learn it, there were so many times I wanted to kick that thing off the front of the boat, just go back to old school fishing, saying screw it.
Oh yeah.
And just staying stubborn and hard headed and staying after it consistently, getting your butt whooped to be able to get there is another tip I'd say for sure. Starting
Absolutely.
Because you see everybody posting all these fish and just really
It looks easy.
And man, it looks so easy till you get it. I've had so many clients too. I'm gonna get me a live scope. There ain't nothing to this, and I'm just sitting there giggling. You know, of course, I ain't gonna say that there ain't nothing to it. They're gonna learn, but I mean, and I'm not gonna say, oh, I've spent this much time, this and that. I mean, we know what it takes to get to that. So it's just like, you know, if you want to, that's great. But I have a few clients that have sold their boat because they don't use it enough, and it's cheaper to go with a guide twice a month to be guaranteed fish than it is to own your own stuff. Go out there and try to get the fish. So it's where you're at on that, but I definitely would say that. Keith asked, he's currently fishing a 1222, and is the 8616 worth the money to step up?
Well, my opinion on that is, yes, if you can afford it. Don't go spend money that you don't need to spend. But everybody's standard answer that knows and uses this a lot that I hear, and mine would be, buy the best screen you can afford. And so the difference to tell you is this: it's not going to make you catch more fish. I'm not going to go catch more fish than Dustin. He has a 1222, or Patrick Stone. I know he has a 1222. They're the best on the planet. They're going to probably catch more fish than me most days of the week. But what it does, it has a faster processor. And so it's more graphic. You can see the fish more detailed. You can see your baits more detailed. And the other big thing is the bigger the screen size, the more magnified everything is. And so there's a learning curve to that when you go from a 12 to a 16.
Oh, yeah.
But your baits that some people have struggle seeing are going to be larger. They're easier to see. It makes everything easier to see. And so that's your advantage.
That's a good, that's nailed it right on the head right there, pretty much.
I will show you guys.
Anything above a 10 inch is easier on the eyeballs. From
No doubt.
there up is just so much easier to learn and see what you're doing.
12 is really good. 16 is really, really good.
It is the holiday season, as we know. But I got a great crappie fisherman gift for everybody out there. And we've got a 15% off going on lure.net for this kit. LureNet. There you go. But you can get 15% off using a Crappie Connection 10K code. That's been good. Definitely a great gift for anybody getting into crappie fishing. That kit right there covers it all. It's got hooks. It's got slip bobbers. It's got ticklers, you name it. It's got some different style profile baits. You can go out there and get this kit and get the crappie fishing real quick. So if you got somebody on your Christmas list that wants to get into crappie fishing, check out that kit right there. It's probably one of the better ones I've seen so far. Another thing tonight, definitely, Stephen, appreciate you being on here tonight. It's been a blast.
Man, thank you guys so much for having me. It's been
your
fun.
help with the
I appreciate y'all more than you'll ever know. I appreciate Bobby Garland for doing this. I learned so much I learned a lot this week.
I learned something new this week. I mean, I'm always learning something new from you guys. And thanks everybody for coming on and hitting the comments and helping each other out. I see a lot of that going on every time we do this. Another thing that I started this week, brand new, at least all the way through 2023. At the end of this show, I'm going to get on my TikTok page on the Crappie Connection TikTok to answer any more of the questions that I left off. I'm going to look back over the comments on here. So join me on TikTok here in a minute. We run an hour on the Today's Bite show, but I'm about to jump on TikTok. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on all three platforms. We've got a lot of good things out there, guys. And 2024 is going to be even better. I can promise you that.
Stephen Charles Henderson asked, do you give hugs like we do? Hey,
not like they do. Not what I've heard about Dustin. I hadn't had one of his, but what I've heard, definitely not.
Come on, Stephen, you're a dentist. You're always up and close and personal with people. You don't mind a good hug every once in a while.
Yeah, I don't mind spit, but I don't want to swap it.
Okay, fair enough.
That's awesome.
I see Kent Driscoll on here. I just saw Kent get on my buddy. I think he's on. Oh God. Man.
That's funny. Well, hey, man, I appreciate it.
We'll be back on here on Today's Bike, Crappie Connection, right here on the YouTube and also on Facebook. Make sure you send me some of these pictures. I've got some great pictures this past week from different guys that have success, but right now, so send me some pictures, private message me, and I'll put them on our Facebook page. And I appreciate everybody out there. So definitely join me here in a minute. I'm going to jump on TikTok. Until next week, we got Brad Chappell here.
Dust Dash. Y'all be good.
Dust Dash.
Thank you, guys.
Next Tuesday.
Thank you, Stephen. Check you out later, buddy.
I appreciate it, buddy.